So we have established that the music staff consists of 5 lines, and you count from the lower line, go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces. First space, second, third, and fourth. So altogether, if you were to put notes on both the lines and spaces, you would get 9 notes. And then we place the note at the extreme bottom of the clef, which comes just before the first line, and we could place a note all the way on the top. So we could safely say the stave holds 11 pitches. Suffice to say that most musical instruments play more than 11 pitches. The staff is limited to only 11 pitches. So what happens when an instrument needs to play notes that are beyond the notes that are on the stave, that are higher or lower than they are on the stave? We simply extend the stave by adding really, really short lines called ledger lines. And the ledger lines are just long enough to hold a note head so the musician could tell whether it's a line note or a space note. Remember, watching notes on lines and space will tell the musician what letter, name, note they are to play. So I have started. If you notice in the fourth bar, where you check all the way down, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the fourth bar, I placed a note on the first line of my treble stave, and we know that to be E. And I'm going to show you how you can extend your stave so that you're going lower. And I'm only going to do the line notes for my demonstration. So if I need to go to E, and then we know sitting here is D, the note before the note before D will be C. It means I have to get a line note that is lower. So for my stave, I only have 5 lines. So what you do is place a ledger line. There we go. So you can see there's a little line going through the note head. And you can see it's it's a line that is just below the regular stave. So that is my C. So the line note that is below the C is going to be 2 ledger lines below. So you add ledger lines when they are required. If you do not require it, in the case of the E, you don't put it. Only when you have to tap into the note that is on that line do you draw the ledger line. So this is a ledger line, 1 line lower than the stave of the treble stave, and that is C. And we want the line that is below that, and this note is A. And you might be wondering why I'm going backwards, and you will soon see when I'm completed with this. And we are going to go 3 ledger lines below the stave here. All right, so 3 ledger line is F, 2 ledger line below the stave is A. This is the middle C, C, and E. So I did it this way because sometimes it's difficult to remember notes. So I'm showing you that 3 lines, 2 line, 1 line, and you include the first line of your stave, you get the letters of the word face. And I think that should make it easier to remember it, should you have to be in a position where you have to read this stave. Now I'm going to go above, because just like you can add ledger lines below, there are notes that are higher than this treble stave, and that extends above the staff. So this is on. You always start one line below or one line above to see this um, easy trick. One leisure line above, two leisure lines above, three leisure lines above the stave. And I'm going to label them for you. F, A, C, and yes, you guessed it, E. So starting on the topmost line, that will be F, and it goes up to A, goes up to C, and goes up to E. Those are the line notes. And in the treble stave, well, start three lines below, F, A, C, and then this first one is on the stave. So the pattern for the treble stave is that you can get this FACE pattern. I'm adding one more just to remind you that last class when we did lines and spaces, we discovered that the treble stave the spaces will give you face as well. F, A, C, E, but the ledger lines, the lines of the treble stave will give you face. F, A, C, E. So on the stave, you get that F, A, C, E. But when you are going and extending out the staff, you get that same FACE pattern. So, in a nutshell, I showed you ledger line and I showed you an easy way to recall it when you are now approaching or being introduced to the ledger lines. So please note the ledger lines are just a little longer than the note head, just a little longer. And it extends beyond the note head. What if this was supposed to be a half note or quarter note instead? Sorry. So if it's below the stave, the stems go up. Once it's below the third line, the stems they go up. So I just changed that to a half note or a minim so you could just see the stem going up. And if it's above the staff, the stem goes down. The general rule is that the stems must be within the staff. Within. So not jutting out like so out of the stave. It must be up into the stave. We're gonna take a look at the notes that are on a ledger line space, on a space ledger line. So I'm gonna put the notes on a stave. Just press enter here. So on my stave, I'm gonna just put the notes that are on a line of your treble stave. First line, second line, third line, fourth line, and fifth line. And I'll just separate it so we just wouldn't have all those notes on that stave. And the names of these notes, as we can recall, so this is a sort of revision, are E, G, B, C, and F. So you might be wondering, why am I doing this? And it's so that we can get a quick way to remember it. So let's go above the save. We're gonna tap into notes that are in spaces on space ledger lines. And I have a few things I'd like to demonstrate when I'm doing this. So E, that's the topmost space, because we remember the space spells. F-A-C-E, that's face. E, and then this is the space note sitting on a line. Now, don't be tempted to put a leisure line above it. It is not necessary. We can clearly see it's a space note because there aren't any lines going through it, and it's sitting there in a space. So a leisure line is not necessary. You only use the leisure line when it's required. And most times that is because you'd need to put a note that's actually on a line, a leisure line, as opposed to in a space. So here we have our next letters. This is E, and this is G. Okay, so we're going with the two extreme notes of your treble stave. So the next space note will be required to be somewhere up in the air here, but we need to put it on a line. So what you do is draw a letter line and you put the note to sit on it. No line above is necessary. Just put a note and you put it to sit on it, just like how this G is sitting here. And I guess you see the pattern already, that this is going to be B. The next letter line note will be two letter lines above. And I want you to take a note of the distance between the first letter line and the second letter line. It follows the distance. It's approximately the same distance that you'll get in a stave, because a letter line extends a stave. So at this moment, we could say this stave has 7 lines. The 5 of the staff plus these 2. So 2 letter line above the staff is D. So if you're going to use this pattern, you need to remember you need to start on the 4th space to use the E, G, B, D, F pattern to remember your notes. And 3 letter lines also sitting. No letter line required on top. I have had a lot of students in the past drawing it on top, but it's not necessary. We can clearly see it's a space note. There's nothing going above it. You only put if it's necessary. So this is going to be F. So your line notes on the stave are E, G, B, D, F, but when you're tapping into the space letter line, starting from this top E, G, first letter line, B, second is D, third is F. So let me just extend my stave. I need 2 more. And in this last bar, I'm going to put the G, E, G, B, D, F. So I'm going to start with my F right here. See if I can put an F right there. Oh, let's go to this F. All right, and we're going to work our way down. Let's label it. F, D, that's the space below. B would be 1 letter line below the stave. B, 2 letter lines below the stave, and this is space notes, will be G, and then 3 letter lines all the way below your stave in the space is E. Yes. Let me label them. E, G, E, B, and F. So ledger lines are small lines you draw above and below stave if you wish to extend it and play notes that are not within the staff itself. When you're drawing notes on a line, you draw the amount of lines you need. You only draw the amount that's required. And for the space note, you draw the amount you need. There's no extra needed above it, or in the case of the notes that are lower, you don't need to put any below. You just put it to hang off the ledger line like this. And those are the ledger line notes of your treble stave. Just like we can extend the treble stave to tap into notes that are beyond the staff limit, we can use ledger lines in the bass stave. So I'm going to just apply the same pattern because there's a similar pattern for the bass stave to name notes. So you want to use a whole note. So the spaces, we're going to do the space of the bass stave. All cows eat grass. Very handy acronym if you're trying to remember your letter name. Say bass stave. A, sorry, C, E, and G. And we're going to use those same letters to name the lines of the notes that and we're only going up to 3 above the bass stave. So we have A, one ledger line, and this pitch is what we call middle C, and this is the same middle C on the treble stave. I like to talk about it. If you notice, above the bass stave, the one ledger line above the bass stave is C, but if it was a treble stave, it would be below. And that is because this C is in the middle, smack in the middle of the pitches of the bass stave and the treble stave. The notes below this falls in the bass clef, but all the notes that go up are above in the treble stave. So it's in middle C because he's just right in the middle of the bass and the treble stave. So we have C here, and then 2 ledger line above will give us E, and 3 will be G. Let me label those so you'll remember them. E, C, E, G. So if you want this pattern to work for you, you just have to remember that the space lettering for your bass stave will be the line and ledger line. You start on the topmost line to get the A, and then you move up to the next ledger line. C, 2 ledger lines. E, 3 ledger lines. G. And so that you can see this pattern, I'm going to start the way back here and then descend, go backwards. Make that a whole note. G. Oops. Program want to go crazy on me. G. And then we're going to start to descend and go 1 ledger line below the stave. E. 2 ledger lines. G. And 3 ledger lines. Oops. Get it all the way to the corner. A. Let's label it. A, C, E, and G. The 3 ledger lines below will start with the A, 2 ledger lines C, E, and then as a reminder, we have that G, getting all cows eat grass. So the space notes are A, C, E, G of the stave, but the line ledger lines above and below are A, C, E, and G. same memory trick that we were using for the lines here in the bass clef. So I'm going to label the lines in the bass clef G, B, E, F, and A. And we'll go above the stave for the space leisure lines. So you're going to start on this fourth space of the stave, and then you're going to go to the space while sitting on the stave. That will be B. Then the first leisure line, one leisure line is going to be D, F, A. So you would need a maximum, you wouldn't hardly likely to pass 3 leisure lines when you are doing beginning theory. G, B, D, F, A, and you start at the fourth space to do this labeling. So I'll label it here. All right, and I will start at 3 leisure lines below the bass stave. Okay, so that's going all the way up there. 3 leisure lines below the bass stave. 1, 2, 3. And this is the space G. Two leisure lines. That'll be B, D. 1 leisure line. Then we're in the space of the stave F. And then we are all the way up here in the first space for the A. And let's label it B, D, F, A. So the space of your bass, the lines of your bass clef stay from first all the way up to the fifth, G, B, D, F, A. People who don't use the bass clef too often find that the word great big dogs fight a lot acronym helps them to remember by the first letter of great big dogs fight a lot. And then you find the top G spaces, and you work your way all the way up to the third leisure line of your stave. And then my G shifted here. Then you go to third leisure line below the stave using the same letters G, B, D, F, E. And that's it in a nutshell. So most instruments can safely use one staff with one clef on it because of the range or the pitches that they play. There are instruments, however, that have a large range. The piano, for example, or the harp has notes that extend from really, really low and it goes really high. In fact, they have about 88 keys for a standard piano. So if a piano has 88 notes and we establish that your treble stave can safely hold 11 notes and your bass stave can hold 11 notes, then that's just 22 notes. But if your piano was supposed to only read off of one stave, just the treble stave, it will only have 11 notes to access. So what the pianist or the harpist does is they read off a combination of both clefs. So as you can see, you recognize the treble, you recognize the bass. So what they do, they have the bass stave. Obviously, the bass is below because the notes are lower, and the treble stave is above, and the pianist will read from this staff. This staff has a very special name. It's called the grand stave or the grand staff. So let's just have a look at what the grand staff looks like. To show that this is being played by one instrument, there is a bar line that extends from the top of the treble staff, which is up on the top, and it extends and it continues to extend to the bottom, to the first line of your bass staff. And this brace here is placed to the side of it. It's called a brace, and it shows the group that these two staves are combined together for the pianist to play. So I'm going to show you where the notes are on the grand stave, and you would see why the notes are where they are when they're on the single stave. So I'm going to start with, I'll start one note below the ledger line. So I'll start on the E, F, G, up to the space, A, B, C, D, E, going up, F, G, A, B. Okay, so I've reached the topmost part of my stave. Yeah. And at this point, I am ready to go up to my treble stave. So I want to draw for you the middle C. So this is C, and it's in the middle of the piano, but I'm in the treble stave, and I'm going to draw the middle C as well. Sorry. These two notes are exactly the same pitch. This is how it looks when you play it with your right hand, because your right hand usually plays the treble clef. This is how it looks if you hit that note with your left hand. But these notes, if you picture it, it's the same pitch on your piano, C. And that's why they call it middle C. It's in the middle of your grand stave. So this is what the middle C looks like if you have to draw it in the bass clef, because it's higher than all the notes that are in bass clef, but it's down here on the treble clef because it's going to be lower than all the other pitches on the treble clef. And I'm going to stop right there. So just remove this bar. And I'm going to label it E. This is F, G, A, B, C, D, E. The alphabet starts over. F, G, A, B. And I'm just going to put middle C here because both these notes are middle C. So now I'm on the treble clef. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So you notice the alphabet just continues after each other. E, it's consecutive. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then in the treble clef, D. So after C is D. So off the bat, you can see that the bass clef and the treble clef are just merely extensions of each other. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, etc. So the notes on the bass clef just continues consecutively into the treble clef. So a lot of time people say, well, why didn't just make the bass clef notes in the same position as the treble clef and name it the same way? It's because they're actually one stave as a grand stave, and the notes are just a continuation of each other. However, instruments that do not need the bass stave, they just simply read off the treble stave, and bass instruments like bass guitars or cellos, they will read only solely off the bass clef because it's not necessary. Their instrument does not really access notes that are not on the other stave. But the piano, because it has so many keys, uses the complete staff, the grand stave. Transposing in music is the act of rewriting a song, possibly for another instrument, or changing the key of a song. The example I'm going to show you here is just rewriting a song using the exact same pitches to an instrument that doesn't use the same clef. So here we have a clarinet in C, and the clarinet uses a treble clef, but the cello uses bass clef. So if we want to rewrite this for an instrument that is playing in the bass clef, we simply have to transpose it to the correct clef for that instrument. So in this case, what as a beginner you could do is look for your middle C. So here we have the middle C in is the first pitch, and in the bass clef we know the middle C is gonna be right here. Okay, it's the exact same pitch. We're just rewriting it in the bass clef, and this next note is middle C again. So we're gonna write middle C. All right, and here we notice that the instrument goes from C and it goes down into the space to B. C down to B. This is using a ledger line. It's extending to notes that are below the treble stave. This note actually is going to be the B. This is C, and it goes down a step. This note is actually this B here. And it was middle C and it went down to the space. This is middle C and it goes down to the space. But no ledger line is required because it is in the bass clef itself. And then we notice the B went down 2 ledger lines. It went down to a line. So the B went down a step. From this space, it goes down to a line. So from this space, it goes down to a line here, and that is A. So middle C, middle C, middle C repeat, middle C repeat. It goes down to the space below. This goes down to the space below. This goes down a step. It goes down a step. All right. Now we are on the treble stave, and this is E. So find your middle C. And then this is the E. This E is the E just above this middle C to the next line. So if there's middle C here, if this was a C, that's on the ledger line. This E is up on this line, goes up to a line. So C, D, E, it goes up to a line. These two pitches are the same, but this E is not in the bass clef. It uses ledger lines to get that E. E comes again, and then it goes up a step to F. So you go up a step to F, and then it comes back down to E. So you carry it down back to E. Then this note is just below the middle C. C would have been on the line, and this goes just below the middle C. So if I was supposed to put my middle C, let's just put the middle C. And we look at this and compare that. This is a step lower than the middle C. So we just, here in the C, we just go down a step lower than the middle C. And then we see this note is 1 ledger line lower than the space note. So we put it 1 line below the space note. So it's the exact same melody. I'll play the clarinet part so you'll hear how the melody sounds. And let's see what it sounds with the cello, if it's the same melody.
All right, so in this form of transposition, we have a trombone part, and we want to rewrite it in the treble clef up an octave. What does up an octave mean? Up an octave means 8 notes away. Now, the music alphabet, every time you start on a letter, say we start on A, and you count all the way up to 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that'll be the seventh letter. The eighth note will carry you back to A, but the next A, the A that is higher, because it's 8 notes away, you call it an octave. So we have a G here in the bass clef, and they want you to rewrite this song 8 notes away. So if we were to write, I'm going to use my C as my bass. If we were supposed to write this in the treble clef, this note is the middle C. Which is the same as this bass, and up an octave will be this C in this space, 8 notes away. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to go all the way down. So that's C, 1, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So you're going to basically write the exact same melody, but 8 notes higher. So instead of the middle C, it's this C that's a little higher. So this C is an octave lower than this C. And you just keep doing that pattern. This is B, which is just a step down from this C. So this note you just put as B, a step down from this C, and it will be an octave higher. Low C, high C. All right, and then this went down from this B, it went down to the line that's just below it. So it went down to A. So from this B, we're gonna put A. Yes, so here we have B. We already figured out this B. It's on the third line. It's gonna be an octave higher if we have the third line. Sorry. B, and this is G. This B is up on the space, and then this is in the space below. This is a B, so that will be G line below. G to B, G to B. The distance between them is the same. C, B, E. Now this is D. This is a D because there's a D above middle C. So this was to be written in the, that's the same D. But we don't want the same D. We want the D that's an octave higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we are writing it an octave higher. Go down to a step because this went on a step. It went on a step to B here. So we go down a step, then it went back up to C. Yes. Then it goes to E. That's the line below. So in this case, it will be the space below. You keep the distance the same. And then you go to G. Down a step to G. Here, down a step to G. So this whole music, you use the same exact letter names, but the letter name that is an octave higher. The letters that are octave higher. So if I were to play the bass, which was the original. Sorry. So you see the melodies are exact, but an octave apart. One is the higher version of the other. And that's how you rewrite music, octaves apart. Sometimes you have questions like this. This was written for trombone. And if you were to write it the exact same octave in the treble clef, it will be too low for the flute. So you put it an octave higher. So the flautist can actually access the same letter name notes, just at a different octave. All right, so in this form of transposition, we have a trombone part, and we want to rewrite it in the treble clef up an octave. What does up an octave mean? Up an octave means 8 notes away. Now, the music alphabet, every time you start on a letter, say we start on A, and you count all the way up to 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that'll be the 7th letter. The 8th note will carry you back to A, but the next A, the A that is higher, because it's 8 notes away, you call it an octave. So we have a G here in the bass clef, and they want you to rewrite this song 8 notes away. So if we were to write, I'm going to use my C as my bass. If we were supposed to write this in the treble clef, this note is the middle C. Which is the same as this bass, and up an octave will be this C in this bass, 8 notes away. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to go all the way down. So that's C, 1, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So you're going to basically write the exact same melody, but 8 notes higher. So instead of the middle C, it's this C that's a little higher. So this C is an octave lower than this C. And you just keep doing that pattern. This is B, which is just a step down from this C. So this note you just put as B, a step down from this C, and it will be an octave higher. Low C, high C. All right, and then this went down from this B, it went down to the line that's just below it. So it went down to A. So from this B, we're going to put A. Yes? So here we have B. We already figured out this B. It's on the 3rd line. It's going to be an octave higher if we have the 3rd line. Sorry. B, and this is G. This B is up on the space, and then this is in the space below. This is a B, so that will be G line below. G to B, G to B. The distance between them is the same. C, B, E. Now this is D. This is a D because there's a D above middle C. So this was to be written in the, that's the same D. But we don't want the same D. We want the D that's an octave higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we are writing it an octave higher. Go down to a step, because this went on a step. It went on a step to B here. So we go down a step, then it went back up to C. Yes. Then it goes to E. That's the line below. So in this case, it will be the space below. You keep the distance the same. And then you go to G. Down a step to G. Here, down a step to G. So this whole music, you use the same exact letter names, but the letter name that is an octave higher. The letters that are octave higher. So if I were to play the bass, which was the original. Sorry. So you see the melodies are exact, but an octave apart. One is the higher version of the other. And that's how you rewrite music, octaves apart. Sometimes you have questions like this. This was written for trombone. And if you were to write it the exact same octave in the treble clef, it will be too low for the flute. So you put it an octave higher. So the flautist can actually access the same letter name notes, just at a different octave.